nothing to do with the whole thing.
The biggest feature of the whole trial, no counter-narrative.
That's right,
no
yes.
alternate that they provided, just you shouldn't believe Michael Cohen. But that, and in fact, what was indicative of that is the way that Todd Blanche let out the prison point that he was so castigated for at the closing. That's a kind of, can I get one, can I get a hung juror, even being improper. They've given up, and there's really no prospect of an acquittal.
It's the next best thing to an acquittal for a defense attorney.
And we're going to play as a victory, but your point is so important. Unanimity is part of the deal here. 6% of cases end in a hung jury. If that happens, it's a political triumph, but still a legal victory as well, that it goes through the process.
All right, Harry Lippman and Catherine Christian, thank you. That was really, really edifying. Appreciate it.
Coming up, why the judge spent more than an hour getting detailed instructions to the jury weighing Donald Trump's guilt, what to make of the questions that the jury sent back. That's next.
Hello, Seattle. It made us feel really home. Thanks very, very much.
Pearl Jam Radio takes you to the final performance of the band's spring tour.
Let's do some singing.
Pearl Jam, live in concert from Seattle. The pre-show hosted by guitarist Stone Gossard. Wonderful. Tomorrow, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific.
Where else? Pearl Jam Radio, Channel 22.
And the Sirius XM app. Spread the word. Anyone can enjoy Sirius XM in the car during our Listen Free event, happening now through June 3rd.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. But right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff, so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
We're Tammy and Phil, and this is our life with California Closets. House seemed to get larger and larger when all the kids moved out.
Love you, Mom. Love you, Dad.
At that part of our life, there would be a tendency to kind of look backward to see where we've been and what we're missing. We wanted to do something different and kind of move forward.
Exactly.
Since we downsized, we needed a company like California Closets to come in and utilize what little space we had. It just works.
Visit a showroom or schedule your free design consultation today at CaliforniaClosets.com.
Ad paid for by the Sentinel Group. Attention Marines, military personnel, families, and contractors who were stationed at Camp Lejeune. Were you present at Camp Lejeune between August 1953 and December of 1987? You may be entitled to significant compensation. For nearly 34 years, those in the Marine Corps base Camp Lejeune were exposed to contaminated drinking water, resulting in devastating injuries including several forms of cancer, adverse birth outcomes, Parkinson's disease, and more. North Carolina's procedural laws have prevented victims from getting the justice they deserve, but passage of the Camp Lejeune Justice Act of 2022 would allow you or a loved one to file lawsuits seeking compensation for illnesses and injuries linked to the toxic water. Call today for your free consultation. 800-860-3973. Let our experienced attorneys fight to get you the compensation you deserve, and you pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call 800-860-3973. That's 800-860-3973. Again, 800-860-3973.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6761. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6761. That's 800-575-6761. 2021. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Most trucking companies are hiring, so why should you consider a move to Crete Carrier or Schaefer Trucking? Just ask our drivers.
Crete has treated me very well. Everything they told me in orientation and to onboard me is what they brought to the table.
So far here, I've been meeting great people. It makes it one big family, and everybody treats each other like family, and that's what it's all about.
Visit us at CreteCarrier.com or call pound 250, keyword Crete.
A few hours after the jury began deliberations in Donald Trump's New York election interference trial, 2 notes were sent from the jury room to the court. The first note asked for testimony from former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker and former Trump fixer Michael Cohen to be read back. About an hour later, a second note asked for the jury instructions to be read back. The judge dismissed the jury, saying the refreshers will happen when court is back in session tomorrow morning. The jury will have the option to work late, potentially going to 6 o'clock tomorrow night. George Grasso is a retired New York City judge, a 30-year veteran of the New York City Police Department. Charles Coleman served as a prosecutor in Brooklyn, now a civil rights and criminal defense attorney. Dave Butch joined me here. It's great to have you here. Let me start with you, Judge. Let's just talk about the process that produces those instructions. So, Judge Merchan gave the instructions for about an hour this morning, first thing.
An hour and a half.
About an hour and a half, right? So 10 to 11:30 or somewhere around there.
Exactly.
How does the sausage get made on those instructions?
Well, the judge invited both parties to submit proposed instructions. The defense got to submit proposed instructions. The DA got to submit proposed instructions. And then last Friday, there was a charging conference. It was about 3 hours long. I was there in the afternoon, and both sides got to make certain points. The judge made certain points. In some areas, he seemed to be leaning the defense way. In other areas, he seemed to be leaning the DA's way. And then we were expecting to see these instructions a little earlier.
Right.
We never did.
They were just read today, and that's all we got.
Yeah.
Did you have an impression of them?
Well, I'll tell you something. I was actually caught by surprise by one particular instruction. When the judge laid out the pathway to the felony, right?
This is the fact that the misdemeanor had to be committed in furtherance of some other crime.
Right. So there's the 34 misdemeanor counts for Donald Trump falsifying business records. I've been to trial every day. I think there's abundant evidence to support them, starting with the 9 checks he signed. But to get to felony, they've got to be to conceal or commit another crime. So what was also in the instructions, which was not a surprise, that the object crime that the people designated, we knew that last week actually during the charging conference. Right. The object crime is New York election law.
Correct.
Now, what everyone had been assuming, including me, is that that's doing, the essence of that is 2 or more people. It's a conspiracy charge, act in a way to prevent or get someone elected by unlawful means.
Right.
So the trick there is unlawful means. So everybody was thinking unlawful means is bringing us back to FECA.
Right.
Okay, the Federal Election Campaign Act.
Right.
The FECA is in there. That's not a surprise. The surprise is the judge added another menu in the instructions, and I don't even remember hearing this discussed in the charging conference. If I did, I probably would have remembered it, and when I heard it today, I was like, and that lays
Can I read? I just want to read this. Yeah. Although you must conclude unanimously the defendant conspired to promote or prevent the election of any person to public office by unlawful means, you need not be unanimous as to what those unlawful means were. You may consider the following: violations of the Federal Election Campaign Act, otherwise known as FECA, the falsification of other business records, violation of tax laws.
Yeah. The falsification of other business records was the surprise. And the falsification of records relating to Michael Cohen, his extensive testimony and records that he created this resolutions consultant and essential consultant, which was the vehicle to get the $130,000 under the table to Stormy Daniels. He lied. He didn't say this was for a porn star.
Right.
He lied on the application. So another false business record that's in there, which I think is really a potential big problem for Trump is the falsification of causing a 1099 to be made for Michael Cohen for $420,000 in income. That there is just a mountain of evidence that did not reimburse. So Trump is going to have a hard time distancing himself from that if Cohen's testimony is to believe with respect to a key January 17th meeting in Trump Tower, where he said he attended with Alan Weisselberg. They had this, the document is Exhibit 35.
That's the one with the stuff right now.
Yeah, that's a pathway though.
So, in terms of that also has to get the instructions read back. And in New York, you don't get them printed out, right, Charles? So you got to, if you want them again, you got to get them read again.
That's correct. And I think that the fact that they are asking about these instructions is where he says.
And the testimony, yeah.
Number one, what he says is that these are complicated, and that they want to understand them. A lot of people thought going into this, it's very straightforward, and I've been telling people repeatedly, it really is a particular offense. It's very straightforward and easy to understand. But to get to that felony, that's where it gets complicated, and I would imagine that's where the jury is getting hung up. It also tells me, Chris, that they are going about looking at this case and their deliberations in an organized and serious fashion. What we know, we did not want a verdict on day one because that would have shown that they did not take this process seriously. The fact that they're asking for the particular readbacks means that they're likely corralling the evidence. They're starting at the beginning, and when they're talking about the elements of the crime that are laid out in the jury instruction, I would.
We're gonna have some Nathans. Your stomach still hurt?
No.
Not Popeye. We're gonna have some Nathans hot dogs. Call it a night.
How often have you
right?
All right.
In your career?
Shocked by a jury? I don't know if I've ever been like totally shocked.
Really?
Yeah.
Where you were like, I definitely know the outcome here.
No.
What does that mean?
Mean what?
That you haven't been. That like
well, I mean,
you just reserve judgment when you're sitting in that chair.
Reserve judgment, you give the people the benefit of the doubt, and then you see which direction they're going to go. I've never been like totally stunned one way or the other.
I think as a lawyer, you learn to reserve sort of judgment until you get the judgment, until you get the verdict. I mean, I think there are signs. You have a sense when you're trying a case of who might be with you. The question is, how with you are they? And then the other thing, Chris, is that we have no idea as to what those juror dynamics are going to be in that room here. There may be a juror who is on your side, so to speak, but may cave to pressure because they don't necessarily have the strongest voice in the room.
Or they're persuaded. And that's the other thing, right? I mean, the whole conceit here is that average citizens with their rational faculties can discuss, argue, and persuade, are open to reason and argumentation, and collectively can make a decision.
And you hope for that. You hope for that, not to the point of favoring a consensus, but favoring what is reasonable and what is appropriate and what errs on the side of justice.
What would shock me in this case would be an acquittal.
I think everyone is on board with that.
That would be shocking.
That would be. I think everyone's on board with that. George Grasso, Charles Coleman. Thank you, gentlemen. Still ahead, Samuel Alito answers calls for his recusal on January 6 cases with a, wife-blaming extravaganza for the ages. She won't take down the flags. That jaw-dropping turn. That story next.
Okay, quick math. The less your business spends on operations, on multiple systems, on delivering your product or service, the more margin you have and the more money you keep. Obvious. But with higher expenses on materials, employees, distribution, and borrowing, everything costs more. So to reduce costs and headaches, smart businesses are graduating to NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, HR into one platform and one source of truth. With NetSuite, you reduce IT costs because NetSuite lives in the cloud with no hardware required, accessed from anywhere. You cut the cost of maintaining multiple systems because you've got one unified business management suite. And you're improving efficiency by bringing all your major business processes into one platform, slashing manual tasks and errors. Over 37,000 companies have already made the move. So do the math. See how you'll profit with NetSuite. Backed by popular demand, NetSuite has extended its one-of-a-kind flexible financing program for a few more weeks. Head to netsuite.com/MSNBC. netsuite.com/MSNBC. Reggie was a nurse for 16 years.
I have become very burnt out. I wasn't making good money.
Then it happened.
There was an ad for My Computer Career, and it just spoke to me.
My Computer Career was the best decision he ever made.
I could study anywhere from my laptop, and I was working in the first couple weeks of me being in class.
Reggie hit a home run.
The field is teeming with jobs.
Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
The school is amazing.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu. This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Prescriptions require online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that... Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, and up to 95% off. ED is personal, and it ends, so is treatment. Just go to kids.com/MSNBC and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free with zero copay. Lots of appointments and no face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to
Whoa, boy, your gut smell bad, boy.
That's hims.com/MSNBC for your free online visit. HIMS.com/MSNBC.
Are you the decision maker at your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most
got some bad guts, boy.
Incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/MSNBC, ramp.com/MSNBC, ramp.com/MSNBC. Cards issued by Consulting Bank members of NBC. Terms and conditions apply. And paid for by
stuff out for tomorrow. Alright? We did it yesterday.
The letter was signed by 43 of his colleagues, and he joins me now. Well, you got a response. Yeah. What is your response to the response?
It's pretty shocking. The fact that Justice Alito thinks that he can be the judge and jury of his own impartiality flies in the face of Supreme Court precedent, flies in the face of the Constitution, flies in the face of federal law, and completely misapplies the standard that he is supposed to be applying, even given the fact that there's no binding code of ethics on him, and he essentially gets to decide this himself. But the standard is whether a reasonable person, or whether a person could reasonably think that he has some degree of a bias or partiality. It is not whether he does or doesn't. Right. It is whether it is reasonable for someone to conclude that he has an appearance of a conflict of interest, and for him to actually say in this letter that it is completely unreasonable for anyone to think that when he flies a Stop the Steal flag, or a Stop the Steal flag is flying from his home, that somehow is not reasonable.
Well, game over. Best nails in the water. I mean, this is a rifle for real.